In the heart of Southeast Asia, hidden behind palace walls and armed guards, there exists a tomb. Not a tomb for kings, but for kings of the road. 7,000 cars, maybe more, the greatest automotive collection ever assembled by one human being. Ferraris that were never driven, Porsches built for a man who would never race them, Rolls-Royces plated in real gold. And for nearly 30 years, they've been rotting. Sealed away, forgotten, decaying in the tropical heat of Brunei. This is not a story about wealth. This is a story about obsession, about what happens when unlimited money meets unlimited desire, and then, suddenly, ends. His name is Hassanal Bolkiah, the Sultan of Brunei, one of the richest men on earth. And in the 1980s and 1990s, he went on the greatest car-buying spree in human history. He didn't just buy rare cars, he commissioned them, one-offs, prototypes, cars that violated every rule of automotive production. If he wanted a station wagon version of a Ferrari F40, Pininfarina built it. If he wanted 6 McLaren F1s in custom colors, McLaren said yes. Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Ferrari, Porsche, Bugatti, Aston Martin, they all built cars specifically for him, cars the world was never meant to see. And then, he stopped. The garages were sealed, the mechanics dismissed, the cars abandoned. What happened? Where are these cars now? Are they still there, slowly dissolving in humidity and heat? Or were they secretly sold, scattered to the winds, their provenance erased? This is the greatest automotive mystery of the modern era. A ghost garage containing more automotive history than most national museums, and nobody has been inside in decades. Today, we're going to do what no journalist has successfully done. We're going to investigate the Sultan of Brunei's secret car collection. We'll track down the mechanics who worked there, the designers who built custom cars for him, the insiders who witnessed the madness. We'll analyze the leaked photos, follow the money, and piece together what really happened. Because somewhere in Brunei, right now, as you watch this, the rarest cars on Earth are sitting in darkness. To understand the collection, you first need to understand the man. And to understand the man, you need to understand the money. Brunei, a tiny nation on the island of Borneo, smaller than Delaware, population less than 500,000 people. And sitting beneath it, oil, vast oceans of oil. In 1929, when the first oil was discovered in Syria, Brunei transformed overnight from a sleepy sultanate into one of the wealthiest nations per capita on Earth. Hassanal Bolkiah became sultan in 1967 at just 21 years old. He inherited not just a throne, but an empire fueled by liquid gold. By the 1980s, his personal fortune was estimated at over $40 billion. Adjusted for inflation today, that's over $100 billion, making him, at various points, one of the 5 richest individuals on planet Earth. The Sultan lived in the largest residential palace in the world, 1,788 rooms, 257 bathrooms, a throne room that could fit an entire football field, and beneath it all, garages, massive climate-controlled garages that could house thousands of vehicles. And in the 1980s, he began to fill them. The 1980s were the golden age of the supercar. Ferrari launched the F40, Porsche built the 959, Lamborghini perfected the Countach. These were the poster cars of a generation, the dreams of every teenage boy who ever loved cars. But while most people could only dream, the Sultan bought them, all of them, not 1, not 10, hundreds. Former employees who worked in the collection have come forward over the years. Their stories are consistent and staggering. The Sultan didn't just collect production cars, he had something more powerful than money: access. Direct lines to the CEOs of every major automotive manufacturer on Earth. And in the excess-fueled 1990s, they would do anything to keep him happy. Let me give you an example of how deep this obsession went. The Ferrari F40, 1987, Enzo Ferrari's final masterpiece, a raw analog twin-turbo Savage. Only 1,315 were ever made. It's one of the most iconic Ferraris ever built. The Sultan owned 7 of them. But that wasn't enough. He called Pininfarina, Ferrari's legendary design house, and asked them to do something impossible: turn the F40 into a station wagon. The F40 was a mid-engine supercar, a race car for the road. Extending the roof and adding a rear hatch violated every principle of its design. Pininfarina did it anyway. He commissioned F40s in custom colors, F40s with luxury interiors, F40s modified to LM racing spec, cars that cost $1 million each, treated like custom suits. Rolls-Royce was even more eager to please. In the 1990s, the British marque was struggling financially. The Sultan became their savior. Between 1993 and 1997, Hassanal Bolkiah and his brother, Prince Geoffrey, purchased an estimated 600 Rolls-Royces. 600! But again, production models weren't enough. The Sultan commissioned Rolls-Royce's Special Projects division to build one-off cars that defied categorization. Rolls-Royce station wagons, two-door coupes, convertibles with custom gold-plated trim. They even built him a Bentley Dominator, an SUV decades before the Bentley, based on a military vehicle platform. Only 6 were made, all for the Sultan. None have been seen in public since. And then there were the really special cars. The Bugatti EB110. In the early 1990s, Bugatti, then owned by Italian entrepreneur Romano Artioli, was attempting a comeback. They built the EB110, a quad-turbo, all-wheel drive hypercar meant to rival Ferrari and Lamborghini. The car was a commercial failure. Only 139 were built before Bugatti went bankrupt in 1995. The Sultan owned at least 11 EB110s, including custom versions never offered to the public, an EB110 SS in orange, an EB110 with a modified rear wing, and rumored prototypes of the EB112 luxury sedan. But perhaps the most mysterious cars in the collection are those that barely exist in the historical record at all. The Jaguar XJ220 Pininfarina. Only one exists, built in 1995 as a custom commission. A sleeker, more elegant rebody of the already rare XJ220 supercar. It's in the Sultan's garage. The Ferrari Mythos, a one-off concept car designed by Pininfarina, based on the Ferrari Testarossa. Unveiled at the 1989 Tokyo Motor Show. After the show, it disappeared, sold quietly, to the Sultan. The Bentley Java concept, the Lamborghini Portofino concept, the Ital-designed Nazca C2, all one-off concept cars, all supposedly destroyed or kept in manufacturer archives, all allegedly in Brunei. By 1997, estimates put the collection at over 7,000 vehicles, the largest private car collection in history, insured for an estimated $5 billion. And then, it all came crashing down. July 2, 1997, the Thai baht collapses, triggering a financial catastrophe that would consume all of Southeast Asia. The Asian financial crisis. It swept through Thailand, Indonesia, South Korea, Malaysia, and it didn't spare Brunei. Oil prices plummeted, Brunei's GDP contracted, and for the first time in decades, the Sultan's seemingly infinite wealth had limits. But the crisis didn't hit the Sultan first. It hit his brother, Prince Geoffrey Bolkiah, the Sultan's younger brother, Minister of Finance for Brunei, and a man whose spending made even the Sultan look modest. While the Sultan collected cars, Prince Geoffrey collected everything else: yachts, palaces, jewelry, horses, and, according to later court documents, a harem of 40 women he kept in a private compound. He named his yachts Tits and Nipple. I'm not making this up, these are court records. And he also collected cars, thousands of them. Some say his collection rivaled his brother's. Here's where the story gets complicated, because the Sultan and Prince Geoffrey's collections were often mixed, stored in the same garages, managed by the same staff. Separating what belonged to whom became nearly impossible. In 1997, the government of Brunei launched an investigation into Prince Geoffrey's finances. What they discovered was staggering. Prince Geoffrey had allegedly embezzled and misappropriated $14.8 billion from the Brunei Investment Agency. $14.8 billion. The case became international news. Lawsuits were filed in London, Singapore, New York, assets were frozen. And suddenly, the car collections, both the Sultan's and Prince Geoffrey's, were under scrutiny. This is where the story becomes murky, because what happened next has never been fully explained. According to multiple sources who worked at the palace, in late 1997 and early 1998, the garages were systematically sealed. Mechanics were dismissed, security was tightened. Cars that had occasionally been driven were left to sit. Climate control systems, critical in Brunei's tropical humidity, were allegedly shut down to save money. One former mechanic who spoke to the Daily Telegraph in 2008 under condition of anonymity described the scene. It was like watching a museum being buried, cars worth millions of dollars, just sitting there. We were told to cover them and leave. Some of us wept. These were the greatest cars ever made, and they were being let to die. Why? Why would one of the world's great car collectors suddenly abandon his collection? The official story is simple: austerity. Brunei was tightening its belt. The Sultan was cutting costs across the royal budget. The car collection was an extravagance that no longer fit the national mood. But there's another theory. In the lawsuits against Prince Geoffrey, assets had to be accounted for. Cars had to be inventoried. Questions were being asked. Which cars were purchased with state funds? Which were personal? How much had really been spent? Sealing the garages meant those questions couldn't be answered. What you can't see, you can't audit. And so, as the 20th century ended, thousands of cars, Ferraris, Bugattis, Rolls-Royces, McLarens, one-off prototypes worth tens of millions each, were locked away. For the next decade, silence. No sales, no auctions, no cars appearing at shows or on the market. The greatest car collection in history simply vanished from public consciousness until 2001. That year, a photo surfaced on an early internet automotive forum, grainy, low resolution, shot through a fence. It showed a building, and through the windows, barely visible, shapes, car shapes, dozens of them, covered in dust. The metadata on the photo traced it to Brunei. The automotive world went insane. Who took this photo? Was it real? What were those cars? The photo was taken down within 48 hours. Rumor was that Brunei's government had pressured the hosting site, but it had already spread, copies of copies. Over the next 2 decades, more photos would leak, always grainy, always incomplete. A 2004 photo allegedly showed a row of Ferrari F40s, their covers half collapsed. A 2009 photo showed what appeared to be a gold-plated Rolls-Royce, its paint bubbling. Then, in 2014, a bombshell. A mechanic, identity still unknown, leaked a series of photos to an automotive website called GT Spirit. The photos were devastating. A Ferrari F40 with flat tires and mold on the seats. A Bentley Continental covered in dust so thick you could write your name in it. A row of Bugatti EB11s, one with visible rust on the wheels. A McLaren F1, one of only 106 ever made, its carbon fiber body streaked with water damage. These weren't just cars being stored, they were cars being destroyed. The revelation sparked outrage in the automotive community. These weren't just investments, they were rolling pieces of art, engineering masterpieces. Some were literally irreplaceable, the only examples in existence. And they were rotting. Petitions were started. Automotive journalists demanded access. Car YouTubers made pilgrimage videos outside the palace gates. Everyone wanted the same thing, to know what was really in there and what could be saved. The Sultan's response? Silence. The gates stayed closed. No official from Brunei has ever confirmed the size of the collection, its condition, or even its existence really, beyond the Sultan's well-known public passion for cars. And so, as we moved into the 2010s and now the 2020s, the mystery deepened. Because without access, without documentation, all we have are fragments. Testimonies from former staff, leaked photos, shipping manifests, court documents, rumors. We're left to piece together the truth from shadows. So, let's investigate. Let's examine what we actually know, what we think we know, and what remains pure speculation. First, where are the cars? The primary location is the Istana Nurul Iman, the Sultan's main palace. Beneath and around the palace are an estimated 15 to 20 garages, some capable of holding 200-plus cars each. But former staff have mentioned other locations: a facility near the Brunei International Airport, a warehouse complex near the port of Muara, private garages at the Sultan's other palaces scattered throughout the small nation. The cars aren't all in one place, they're scattered, which makes assessing the full scope almost impossible. Second, how many cars are there really? The number 7,000 has been repeated so often it's become fact, but where does it come from? The earliest reference appears in a 1996 Guinness Book of World Records, which listed the Sultan's collection at 5,000 cars. By 1999, estimates had grown to 7,000. Some sources claim as many as 9,000. But here's the problem. Those numbers include cars owned by Prince Geoffrey, other royal family members, and possibly even government vehicles. The Sultan's personal collection? Unknown. What we do know from import records, manufacturer archives, and employee testimony is that the collection contains over 600 Rolls-Royces and Bentleys, including at least 20 unique custom-built models. An estimated 400 Ferraris spanning from 1950s classics to 1990s supercars. At least 380 Bentleys, including pre-war models and modern custom commissions. Over 130 Porsches, including multiple 950s, Carrera GTs, and one-off prototypes. 11 confirmed Bugatti EB110s, plus rumored EB11 prototypes. 6 McLaren F1 in custom colors. At least 20 Lamborghinis, including Contacts, Diablos, and custom builds. A fleet of Aston Martins, including V8 Vantages and custom DB7s. Multiple one-off concept cars from Pininfarina, Italdesign, Zagato, and others.
And that's just what we can confirm. The unconfirmed list is even more extraordinary. According to various sources over the years, the collection allegedly includes a Lamborghini Diablo stretched limousine, a Koenigsegg CC prototype, the Jaguar XJ220 Pininfarina concept, the Ferrari FX commissioned by Pininfarina, multiple CZs, Vector W8s, and other obscure 1990s supercars, a Porsche 911 station wagon conversion, gold-plated Mercedes 500 SLs, and, bizarrely, a collection of custom Honda Civics built by racing shops in Japan. That last one seems absurd until you remember, this was a man with unlimited money and unlimited taste. If he wanted a custom Civic, he got a custom Civic. Third question, what condition are they in? This is where we enter speculation, because the last confirmed credible access to the collection was in the mid-1990s. But the leaked photos tell a troubling story. In tropical climates, without proper storage, cars degrade fast. Brunei's humidity averages 80 to 90% year-round. Temperatures regularly exceed 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Rubber seals perish, fluids separate and congeal, batteries leak acid, paint oxidizes, leather cracks, electronics corrode, and if the cars are just sitting, never started, never driven, the damage accelerates. Now imagine cars worth 10 million, 20 million, 50 million each, priceless, irreplaceable automotive history, reduced to expensive restoration projects or total losses. But here's where it gets interesting, because not everyone believes the rotting away narrative. Let's explore the theories. Theory 1. The cars were secretly sold off years ago. This theory suggests that the Sultan, facing financial pressure after the 1997 crisis, began quietly liquidating the collection through private sales, not at auction where they'd be public, but through brokers to ultra-wealthy collectors worldwide. The evidence? Over the years, certain ultra-rare cars have appeared on the market with suspiciously vague provenance. In 2003, a Ferrari F40 in a unique burgundy color appeared at a private sale in Switzerland. Ferrari has no record of producing an F50 in that color, but the Sultan did commission custom F50s. In 2015, a one-off Bentley Java concept sold at a Dubai auction. It had supposedly been in a private Middle Eastern collection for decades. The Java was built for the Sultan in 1994. Coincidences or evidence of a slow, secret liquidation? The problem with this theory? The sheer scale. We're talking about potentially thousands of cars. Liquidating even a fraction of them would leave traces, import records, registration documents, sightings. And while a handful of suspicious cars have appeared, we're not seeing hundreds. We're not seeing the McLarens, the Bugattis, the rarest Ferraris. Which leads most investigators to believe that if sales happened, they were limited. Perhaps financial distress forced the sale of some assets, but the core collection remains. Theory 2. The cars are fine. They're being preserved in secret climate-controlled facilities, and the rotting away narrative is disinformation. This theory suggests that the Sultan, recognizing the historic value of his collection, moved the most important cars to state-of-the-art storage facilities. The leaked photos? Deliberate, meant to discourage theft or intrusion by making people think the cars are worthless. It sounds paranoid, but there's precedent. The Schlumpf collection in France, the Peterson Automotive Museum's vault. These are massive, secret car collections preserved in controlled environments, hidden from public view for decades. Some point to a mysterious construction project near the Sultan's palace between 2003 and 2006. Satellite imagery shows a large windowless building being erected. Rumors in Brunei suggested it was a new garage complex. But no confirmation was ever given, and access to that part of the palace grounds is impossible. The evidence against this theory? The leaked photos themselves. While they could be staged, they're very convincing. The dust patterns, the degradation, the specific models visible, all consistent with long-term neglect. Unless the Sultan is running an incredibly elaborate disinformation campaign, those cars are genuinely deteriorating. Theory 3. The cars are legally frozen, caught in the endless litigation between the Sultan and Prince Geoffrey. Remember, Prince Geoffrey's embezzlement case stretched for years. Lawsuits in multiple countries, assets frozen, complex negotiations over what belonged to the state, what belonged to the Sultan personally, and what belonged to Geoffrey. The case wasn't fully settled until 2014, nearly 17 years after it began. And even then, not all emissets were accounted for. This theory suggests that many of the cars fall into a legal gray area. They were purchased with state funds or with funds from the Brunei investment agency that Geoffrey controlled.
So they sit, untouched, because touching them, selling them, restoring them, even moving them could trigger new legal claims. A former legal advisor to the Brunei government, speaking anonymously to Reuters in 2016, said, "There are assets related to the royal family that remain in limbo due to complex ownership questions. It's not that they can't be resolved, it's that there's no will to resolve them, easier to leave them alone." This would explain the abandonment, not financial need, not secrecy, just bureaucratic paralysis. The evidence against? The Sultan has absolute power in Brunei. If he wanted to claim those cars, legally ambiguous or not, he could. The courts answer to him. Unless he doesn't want the scrutiny, which brings us to the darkest theory. Theory 4. The cars are evidence. Evidence of financial crimes, of money laundering, of state funds diverted to personal luxury while Brunei's citizens lived under authoritarian rule. When Prince Geoffrey's embezzlement was uncovered, investigators found that billions had been spent on personal luxuries, cars, yachts, jewelry, properties. But Geoffrey wasn't the only one spending. The Sultan's own purchases, especially in the 1990s, were funded through the same agencies, the same accounts. Some estimates suggest the Sultan and his family spent over $30 billion on personal luxuries between 1980 and 2000, in a nation with a GDP of only $12 billion per year. Where did that money come from? Brunei's oil wealth was supposed to benefit its citizens. Sovereign wealth funds were established. But during the 1997 crisis, it was revealed that those funds had been severely depleted. The cars, according to this theory, are physical evidence of that theft. Every Ferrari, every Bugatti represents millions of dollars that should have gone to infrastructure, education, healthcare. Selling them would create a paper trail. Displaying them would invite questions. So they sit, hidden, decaying, because acknowledging them is more dangerous than abandoning them.
This theory is, of course, the most speculative. There's no direct evidence, but the circumstantial elements are troubling. Brunei is not a transparent nation. Freedom of the press is severely limited. The Sultan holds absolute power. Investigating the royal family's finances is not encouraged. And so the cars remain, ghosts of excess, skeletons in a very large, very expensive closet. Let's talk about value, because whether these cars are rotting, preserved, or sold, they represent one thing: staggering, almost incomprehensible wealth. In 2018, a Ferrari 250 GTO sold at auction for $48.4 million, the most expensive car ever sold publicly. The Sultan allegedly owns 2 of them. In 2021, a McLaren F1 in original condition sold for $20.5 million. The Sultan has 6 in custom colors, estimate $25 to $30 million each. A Bugatti EB110 in good condition is worth approximately $2 to $3 million today. The Sultan has at least 11. And those are just the cars we can value based on public market data. What about the one-offs, the concepts, the custom commissions? The Jaguar XJ220 Pininfarina, one of one, no comparable sales. But considering a standard XJ220 sells for around $500,000, and this is a coach-built Pininfarina masterpiece, conservative estimate, $5 million, maybe more to the right buyer. The Ferrari Mythos, also one of one, based on the Testarossa platform, but with bespoke Pininfarina coachwork. Comparable concepts have sold for $3 to $7 million. The Bentley Customs, the Rolls-Royce one-offs, cars that have no equivalents. You can't price them using comparables because there are no comparables. A 2019 study by automotive valuation experts at Haggerty attempted to estimate the total value of the Sultan's collection using conservative market values and assuming 50% of the cars are beyond repair. Their estimate? $5 billion, with a B. If the cars are in good condition, that number could double, which makes this, without question, the most valuable private car collection on Earth, possibly the most valuable private collection of anything. For context, the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles has a collection valued at approximately $300 million. The Smithsonian's vehicle collection? Around $500 million. One man in one country owns more automotive wealth than most national museums. And it's sitting in the dark. This has made the Sultan's collection a source of frustration, even anger within the automotive preservation community. Imagine if someone bought the world's greatest paintings, Rembrandts, Picassos, Da Vinci's, and locked them in a warehouse to rot. The art world would be in uproar. But because these are cars, the outrage is muted, confined to enthusiasts. Even though a Ferrari F40, a McLaren F1, a Bugatti EB110 are every bit as significant to their medium as a Picasso is to painting. So, the hunt continues.
In the age of the internet, the search for information about the Sultan's collection has become a subculture unto itself. Car YouTubers have traveled to Brunei, filming outside the palace gates. Automotive forums dedicate entire sections to analyzing leaked photos, tracking down former employees, and comparing satellite imagery year over year. In 2017, a Reddit user noticed new construction visible on Google Maps near the palace. The thread exploded with speculation. Was it a new garage? A restoration facility? Access was impossible, but the theories multiplied. Journalists have tried. The BBC, Top Gear, the New York Times, all have requested access. All have been politely declined. The closest anyone got was in 2006, when Automotor und Sport, a German automotive magazine, was allowed to interview the Sultan's chief mechanic. The mechanic confirmed the collection was substantial and well-maintained. But when the journalist asked to see it, no. Today, Brunei remains one of the most opaque nations on Earth. Tourism is limited, freedom of information minimal, and the Sultan, now in his 70s, remains one of the world's longest-reigning monarchs. And the cars? Still there. Probably. In 2022, a former palace employee gave an interview to an automotive podcast under heavy anonymization. He claimed to have worked near the garages as recently as 2019. He said, "The buildings are still there. I saw car transporters come and go occasionally. Whether they were bringing cars in, taking them out, or just moving them between facilities, I don't know. But it's not abandoned. Someone is still managing it. Which brings us to the ultimate question. What happens next? The Sultan is 77 years old. When he passes, the throne will likely go to his eldest son, Crown Prince Al-Muqtadi Billah. What will he do with the collection? Will he open it, sell it, continue his father's secrecy? Nobody knows. Some speculate that eventually the collection will come to market, and when it does, it will be the automotive event of the century. Imagine an auction spanning weeks, hundreds of cars, many unseen for decades. The McLarens, the Ferraris, the one-off concepts. Collectors from around the world bidding tens of millions per car. It would rewrite the record books. It would reshape the collector car market overnight. But that's speculation, fantasy even. For now, the gates remain closed. The secrets remain buried. And somewhere in Brunei, in the darkness, the ghost garage waits. So, inside the Sultan of Brunei's 7,000 car ghost garage, what did we learn? We learned that in the 1980s and 90s, unlimited wealth met unlimited obsession. That one man, powered by oil money and unchecked desire, assembled the greatest automotive collection in history. We learned that he didn't just collect cars, he commissioned them, bent the rules of automotive production, convinced manufacturers to build the impossible. We learned that when the money ran out, or when scrutiny became uncomfortable, the collection was sealed, left in limbo. And we learned that for nearly 30 years, these priceless machines have been hidden from the world. Decaying perhaps, preserved maybe, or sold in secret. We don't know. And that's what makes this the greatest automotive mystery of our time. Somewhere in that small nation, behind palace walls and layers of secrecy, the answers sit, covered in dust or gleaming in climate control, rotting or restored. $5 billion in automotive history, maybe $10 billion, and we can't see any of it. So here's where you come in. Because I've given you the theories, the evidence, the speculation. But what do you think? Is Theory 1 correct? Did the Sultan secretly sell off the collection years ago and the ghost garage is just a myth we've kept alive? Is it Theory 2? Are the cars perfectly preserved in a hidden vault and everything we've seen is disinformation? Theory 3. Caught in legal limbo, frozen by bureaucracy and disputed ownership? Or Theory 4, the dark one, evidence of financial crimes, too dangerous to acknowledge? Or maybe you have a theory we didn't cover. Maybe you know something. Maybe you've seen something. Leave your investigation in the comments below. Tell us what you think happened, what you think is happening right now, where these cars are, what condition they're in. Because here's the truth about mysteries like this. They're not solved by one person. They're solved by communities, by people sharing pieces of the puzzle. A leaked photo here, a testimony there, satellite analysis, import records. Somewhere out there, someone knows more. Maybe it's you. If you loved diving deep into this mystery, if you want more investigations into the cars the world forgot, the collections that vanished, the legends that refused to die, subscribe to the Ghost Garage. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell.
Because every week we're hunting ghosts. We're uncovering the stories that have been buried, the mysteries that the automotive world has left unsolved. Next week, we're investigating another legend, the $100 million Bugatti that disappeared twice, the mystery of the Type 57 Atlantic. Only 4 were built, 2 still exist. But the third? It vanished in 1940, and then it vanished again in 1971. We'll trace its journey from pre-war France through Nazi occupation across the Atlantic and into the hands of a reclusive fashion designer who took its secrets to his grave. That's next week on The Ghost Garage. Some cars become legends, others become ghosts.